Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Rangers podcast. It's your Monday night edition. I'm your host, Gary, and I've seen the comments there, Scott, saying we're late. 1 minute after 8:30, we just leave it that time all the time. Too busy chatting. Sorry, Scott. My apologies. So, welcome to the show. It's been a scattergun weekend after the one each straw with Motherwell. There's been lots to talk about, lots of criticism. Most of that come from Russell Martin, to be fair, or Ricky on Twitter, one of the two. It's been a busy couple of days. So if you watched Friday night's pod, you would have seen me, Ricky, and Scott were super excited. We're saying how excited we were about looking forward to the domestic season coming. Within 24 hours, that excitement gone. Dissipated, is that the word? There's a good word for it. Dissipated. It reduced. We were much less happy. Motherwell early grabbed a late equaliser and arguably could have won the game with their new manager, new style. So we're going to delve into that. We're going to delve into some of Russell Martin's comments. We'll talk about the new Avenger and Antman, and we will preview the game against Viktoria Plzen tomorrow. So lots to cover. You'll see there's four of us in a wee box here, so we've got lots of stuff to cover, but we'll try and rattle through as best we can. So when you get four, there's always a lot more to try and get across. So we will see what we can do. So Ricky, if I cut you off at any point during it, it's just because you're not giving Baz a chance to speak. So just it's not deliberate. So anyway, Baz, I'm delighted to welcome Baz from Hands Across the Water, the Northern Ireland Bear Show, as we continue our foreign exchange programme, whereby we'll go on their show, they'll come in ours. So good to see you, Baz. How are you?
Thanks very much, guys, for inviting me on. I've obviously done a podcast earlier, and I've been slating Rangers, so I'm up for another round of it, Gary. So we'll see how tonight goes. But again, much appreciation for coming on. Love your show, and thrilled to be here, mate.
It's great to have you on. And before we start, do you want to give a wee plug to your show that you were on just a couple of hours ago?
Yeah, we're Hands Across the Water, Northern Ireland-based podcast. We're the only ones that does it in this country, and we're extending the hand of friendship out to all walks of life, at all Rangers men. Hopefully, we're coming across okay. And Hands Across the Water is for a reason. You know, it's the hand of friendship across from Northern Ireland till across the sea, whether it's Scotland, England, Australia, America, because we're everywhere. And but thanks, Gary, for the wee plug.
No, not at all. And good to have you on. Ricky, so you've managed to drag yourself away from Twitter. We're arguing with everybody for all the last 24 hours or so. How are you?
Never, mate. No, I'm great, mate. No, I never argue with anyone. I'm just venting a little bit. I'm just here so Kerr tells me the month that Russell Martin's going to get fired, mate. That's the only reason I came on the pod tonight. I love Kerr when he tells these new managers come in and one day it's positive, the next the manager's getting fired. So bring it on.
Yeah. And as I said earlier on, if you go back to Friday night's episode, Scott was all in. We need to give him time. He's going to take a bit of a... We need to give this a chance. I'm right excited by all this. How are you feeling now, Scott?
Gary, you know what I'm like. My excitement can go from there down to there. I'm actually feeling okay. The last couple of days I was really annoyed and I was slagging Martin, the vegan hipster. Sorry to any vegans or hipsters out there, but it just annoyed me. But listen, I'm not as bad now, and I did watch the game back, to be fair. The first half isn't as bad as I thought, but the second half was worse than I thought. So, yeah, I'll have my say in Martin when we go through it, and also the players, but it has to get better. But I don't think it will anytime soon.
So, Baz, I'll come to you first. So after navigating a pretty tricky game against Panathinaikos, two games against Panathinaikos, we made it through at the Champions League third qualifier, then turned our attention to domestic action. First game of the season, Waitford Park, and they're a new manager, new playing style, very similar to ours, except theirs worked, theirs didn't. But what do you think of the reaction? Do you think it's been a bit over the top, or do you think it's been quite accurate?
Well, I don't think. I think the overreaction is based on the last couple of seasons. I don't think it's based on what they're seeing this season so far. I think it's the same old play, the same old players doing the same old things, and that's the biggest problem. It doesn't matter who'd be in the dugout. If Ancelotti had took that team over and there were still, I think some of these players no matter what happens, will not adapt to the style of the pressure cooker at Rangers Football Club and what it takes to win. They just don't. Some of the players, just for me personally, don't. I just don't see where they can go to the next level, and that's a major problem. When you watch the Champions League games, there were serious warning signs there before the Motherwell game. We were very lucky over the two legs actually to get through that tie. If Panathinaikos takes their chances, we're out. And it's the same on Saturday. If Motherwell had took even half of the chances that they had, we'd have got beat on Saturday. Oh, as a Rangers fan, is it ever over the top to demand success? To demand players that play for the shirt, that run 90 minutes? I don't think it's over the top. I think it's over the top slightly with Russell Martin. He does need a bit of time to try and implement what he wants. But for me personally, the only way Russell will do that, he has to get rid of some of the dead rubbers there.
Ricky, so before on Friday night, we talked about the team lineup, and I think you were very much of the opinion that having come back to 40-degree heat, all the exertions of the week, midweek, they should be looking to make a number of changes. He goes with one change and Gassama for Curtis. Do you think that'll set the alarm bells ringing in some ways straight away?
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a concern when you see it. I think you could see that with the team as well. But I mean, I don't know. Do you want to make excuses for them with the heat and that, Gary? I mean, you're playing against Motherwell, who are in exactly the same position as us, mate. They've got brand new players. They're trying to implement a new style. And that second half, I mean, as Martin's seen, and we all seen it with our own eyes, especially Kerr, we watched it back today, and you're watching it without that emotion going through you. The players that were jogging around, mate, and that's not just Russell Martin. This is a new manager. This is day one of the season. I mean, the interviews after the match with Tavernier, I mean, does that look like a guy, and I'm not speaking about his performance, does that look like a guy that's that pissed off at the end, getting in his car, going home to his family? Kieran Dowell looked like he took edibles before he got interviewed, man. The guy was spaced out of his head. He's like, wasn't really, it was so bad the way they were speaking. Never mind the performance that they put in the second half. How are they jogging around the first day of the season and getting outrun by Motherwell? All the years ago when we were in the Champions League, when we got absolutely hammered, the thing that annoyed me the most was not the results when we were getting absolutely hammered. It was every time the running stats came up, we were getting outrun by kilometres and kilometres. And some of these players are still in that team to today, and we're getting outrun on the first day of the season from the Motherwell by Motherwell, Gary. Now listen, many things can be true at the same time. The players have to take a lot of responsibility. But I will say, I don't think Russell Martin is helping them by playing 6 players out of position. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Dessers. I don't know what's going on with Igaman, but he needs help from the director of football. We need to get, and I know we've spent 20 million, and the rebuild was massive, Gary, but we still need a striker that fits his system. I mean, watching Danilo trying to play the system is absolutely horrendous. Watching Dowell on the right wing out of position, so many players out of position, and it's absolutely chronic to watch. So I think there's many things that are contributing to this disastrous start to the season, and it is a disastrous start to the season. For me, we had a soft ball, quite an easy start to the season, and we're already 2 points behind Celtic. And the big difference is, with 3 minutes to go, Gary, we could have seen that game out and said, okay, the performance needs to get better, but at least we got the 3 points. We didn't, and they scored with 3 minutes to go when they had a poor performance. That's the difference, and that's mentality, and that needs to change, mate.
Yeah, I'll come back to that actually, because there's a fair point around about the decisions Martin made. I think he put a lot of blame on the players, but there's a number of things that maybe could link to him as well. So before the game, Scott, his pre-match interview, he made a big play about why the same team was playing. Pretty much, he talked about the fact that they were all attuned to the system. They all knew it. The other players had to adapt and get used to playing in it. And then probably 92 hours later, he's then saying that these players didn't know the system again. So it's a bit of a contradiction when you actually look at both interviews.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, Russell Martin, we can talk about him all night, which I'm not wanting to, but all I will say is...
You start again deciding what's happening.
No, you know, that's what I do every day, so I just bring it into here. But what I'll say about Russell Martin is he's got a big job on his hands, right? He's only been in a short time, but see when he came through the door, he knew this was a massive rebuild. And you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. the first thing you should have done was made a new captain to take the rebuild forward. Don't stick with the guy who's been here the past while when we know he's not got long left at the club. Play him by all accounts, but don't pin your hopes in Tavernier, because every last manager has done it. Make a new captain to say, right, this is the guy I'm going to take. It's going to be me and him, whoever else takes this club forward. If you've not got a captain there, then come out and say it. Or you've not signed the guy yet, come out and say it. But also, he's playing players. He's playing sort of a position which you can see which you can see makes him very uncomfortable. Which we could get away with that if the left back was more comfortable. But Aarons is struggling badly. Raskin's struggling badly because he's there trying to help Aarons, and he's struggling to get forward because he's not. You see him crossing the ball with his left foot. He's struggling to do it as well when he does get forward. Rothwell is not a 6 for me. He's never been a 6, but for some reason, Martin never even put him at a 6 at Southampton. Martin put him on the right side, but he's putting a 6 with us. Dio's struggling. Danilo's struggling, but be fair, he's not had any support or any service, Danilo, but he's still struggling to do the basics of holding the ball up and stuff. So, and Dowell, he's not good enough, but for some reason, Martin seems to like to praise him, saying he's doing fine, he's doing that, he's listening, blah, blah, blah. But if Kieran Dowell's Martin's Hamid and Amuchi, then we've got problems. We've got serious problems. But he has to make big decisions before he goes forward, because if he's coming out and saying all these things now, and once he gets other guys fit and other guys in the door, he's got to pin his hopes on guys that he trusts. And if you see, like you said, Gary said, these are guys who know the system, and then an hour and a half later they didn't. It doesn't fill you with confidence in my eyes. I just feel he's making mistakes, and we know he's stubborn. All managers are like a system, and it's this way or nothing. Some of them, but until he can get these players to get that system, and we know some of these players hang the club out to dry. We've seen it. We've been before. We know what some of them are like, but be more flexible until you get in the guys you want. Like get a left back in. If you don't fancy Jeff to get a left back in, don't hang a guy it's worth £7 million you've signed on loan to put a position who's vastly struggling and he's getting unfairly treated, unfairly judged. Listen, put him right back, he might be the same. And then we can say, well, everybody's right, he's crap. But judge him in where he should be playing, don't judge him in the left back position. I just feel the players are to blame, but Martin's not helping himself either.
No, I'd agree. I think there's a lot around the tactics and the way it's, well, the actual the style's fine, but the actual execution of it, the way that the players are playing, probably isn't working particularly well. But in the first half, Baz, so we do score after 15 minutes or so. There's a header from Tav for a set piece that we don't normally score from. And generally speaking, the first half, I thought we played reasonably well without actually creating very much. So I think on our chat at times we were saying, Joe, I'm actually quite enjoying this. The one-touch stuff, the movement, but without any real cutting edge other than maybe Danilo having a shot off the bar, a shot with Kasama by the post and Tav's free kick. There wasn't enough a lot penetration, but nice wee patterns of play.
You're right, Gary. There was some real lovely pieces of play that Rangers did play. When they played the ball quick and the players were responding till the pass, they looked quite good. I mean, the first goal comes from Rangers on the offense, Man and Motherwell down. Motherwell wanted to play it out of the box, and Rangers did press them lovely in the high. McGinn hits an awful clearance, gives us a corner and gets us a goal. And I actually thought at that point we'd kick on. I thought we'd really, really grab the game and maybe go on and score another one pretty quickly, but that didn't happen. There was good signs in that half, Gary. The problem is that when you go into the next, when you go in at half time and the players come out with a completely different attitude, then there's a serious issue going on the training ground, or so there's something not right. How can a player's mentality in the first half be positive and try and move the ball, and in the second half just completely disappeared? That's my worry. It's a tale of two halves, but that shouldn't happen in the first game. I was really, really disappointed. Even going in 1-0 at half time, I'd rather have seen us getting a 2-goal lead, because we don't seem to play well with one goal, but we tend to always need that second goal just to keep the things moving. But yes, certain parts of it, Gary, were good, but at the same time, Motherwell did have one or two chances as well in that half.
Yeah, no, I think there was a couple of breaks from them. So the second half comes, Ricky, and within about after an hour, take off Raskin and Danilo, I think, if I remember rightly. And then 10 minutes later, take off, who else was there? Diomande and Rothwell. And one of the things you said there was we could see we were struggling and we weren't getting the pass. But like we did on Tuesday, we brought, or Wednesday, sorry, went to a 3-5-2, and that game was crying out for us just to switch to a 3-5-2 and just see the game out.
Yeah. Well, so what happened for me? Well, the way I remember it was we came out in the second half and we were all over the place. Motherwell were completely dominating us. The team looked completely flat, and then he took off. It was actually Danilo and Diomande took off first, and he brought on Dessers and he brought on Cameron. And we had control of the game when he did that. He brought, like, Motherwell completely dominated us for about 15 minutes. He made the subs. We had good control of the game. Cameron was looking bright, and then for some reason he takes Raskin off, and he takes. I mean, Rothwell was pretty tired, but you could have moved Raskin back into the six, or at least went for a double pivot with Barron, or like you said, go to 3-5-2 and just say, right, guys, this is no our day. The players are tired after Greece. But for God's sake, man, he's still trying. It's basketball, football he wants to play, and that's okay when you've got a 2 or 3 goal lead. But I mean, I'm sure you guys seen it as well. As soon as we give the ball away up front, which we do many times, then the team is straight through on our goal within 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It was incredible. And everything we did well in the first half, when we pressed Motherwell, they were all over the place. They were trying to play the football that we were trying to play. They were struggling. We were pressing them high. We were winning the ball back. We had about 7 or 8 corners in that first half, and it was like you said, we didn't really have that much cutting edge, but you could see, okay, this is the start of it. Could be a decent performance if we'll have a good second half. But it was the complete opposite. And the subs, when he brought on Barron and Bajrami, then the team was all over the place. Barron in the single pivot was getting absolutely dominated in midfield. They were breaking on us. Dowell was starting to walk and not follow his men. Players were not following their men when they were running into the box. And you could see the goal coming a mile away. And Motherwell, I don't think Motherwell deserved to win. I thought a point was a fair result in the end. But God's sake, the team was wide open. And Martin needs to learn fast that if it is a game like that, because there's loads of games in Scotland. When Gerrard won us the league, even when we won 55, you need to win so many games 1-0. You're not going. No team is going to be absolutely perfect when you're playing in Europe every single match. So there's going to be games where you're 1-0 up, where you need to go to a 3-5-2, or you need to go to a double pivot. You can't just say, I'm going to stick to this tactics and that is it all the time, or there's no chance Russell Martin will get us into a title race. And that's not digging him out. That's any manager. If you just have one set of tactics, we've seen this before with Rangers managers, and it never ever works out. You need to be flexible. You need to realise the game you're in. You need to be making changes to suit the game you're in to get over the line, to get the 3 points. And on Saturday, we just didn't do that.
I'm going to stick a point Ricky made there, Scott. So, as you say, the second half they started to come through them, and there's been a lot of talk about the players not running and the players not doing anything, and defending doesn't start from the back, it starts from the front, it starts from the midfield, and the issue that Martin seems to have had is with probably the midfield to front. I think the way his comments have been described in it about how his players weren't running, players weren't moving, they were making the wrong decisions, and that seems to have what's irked them the most.
Yeah, you can see that, Gary. We don't press as a unit if we're meant to press. I just think what he's told them to do and trying to do, I think offensively they might be okay with it, because in spells in the first half he did pass the ball about relatively well, and we didn't create a lot, but we were passing it about, we were moving, we were no each other, but when we're on the back foot we struggle. And I don't know if it's because I just feel we're lopsided. I just feel the players are in. I think if Deal was out on our side and Raskin was on our side, it might be better. I think Rothwell's really good on the ball, but I think when teams are running towards him, he's not got a lot of pace. Rothwell,
No.
he struggles to
Okay.
get about. He struggles to get about the park, and Gassama didn't know what he was going to do. I see Nicholas made Raskin kind of playing the left. He was struggling to find Gassama, and then when he did, he was struggling to make what run do I make, what run do I don't make, and Aaron's just coming inside. He's bringing his fullbacks in the way and then getting the midfield to scoot out the way, and it's maybe the players should say to him, listen, we know what you're trying to do, but we're struggling with this. And maybe it would work better. Maybe if they're more honest with him and just maybe down in tools or try to do other stuff. But because at times we're trying to pass out for the back on Saturday, and we were struggled with that. So eventually Butland just launched a few. And to me, I don't mind that, to be fair, now and again. But because I just feel the confidence in the area to pass the ball. We still don't know where somebody is when they receive it with their backs to goal, or they don't know what position they should be standing when they receive the ball. Maybe when they receive it, they don't know where the player's going to be. So looking up before, but you saw in Motherwell player specialist Slattery, he was passing the ball without even thinking because he knew his teammate was there. So they've worked at that really hard. And these are guys who are technically aren't as good as our players, but fundamentally they're buying into that guy's system because they probably tore into him and he's probably worked at drills really, really hard. I know Martin said he's worked the players really hard, but I don't know if he's overcomplicated things. I'm not a training. You can only ask him. You can only ask the players. I mean, there's a big chat about Dillo going on, right? And I know my opinion, Dillo, you and Ricky, I know Baz on Dillo as well, but Kieran Dillo to me is not good enough to play with Rangers, right? But see, if you're going to play him at all, you play him in his strongest position to give the guy a chance, which is an attacking midfielder as in the 10. You don't stick him out right because he played there with Clement and he struggled, and Martin doing the same when he's struggling.
Yeah.
So you play. If you're going to play guys, you play them in a strong position. If they're no your best guys, if there's some guys who are utility football players, but there's other guys, you know yourself, Gary. If you change the way they play, you put them in a position they're not familiar with, they can't do it. And it doesn't matter if you're getting paid £1 a week or £100,000 a week. Some players can't do it. Martin's going to have to work this out the ones he can and ones that can't.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I mean, I think the argument with Dell was probably his lack of effort when he didn't have the ball more than anything else, and whatever position you're playing in, you can still run, which was probably the thing that people are most critical of. But I'd agree. He's never a right winger, and he's there for. But actually, on the ball, that was his best performance at the three. But it was a lack of tracking back, etc. There's a question from Paul, and I don't. So what about the right penalty in Diomande? I'll just ask you very quickly before I go to the next question, Baz. I didn't think it was a penalty. I don't think there was enough in it personally.
No, I think if it had been the other way around, would have been raging if a penalty was given there. To be fair, I think we're just clutching at straws slightly a wee bit there on that one. For me, it wasn't a penalty, guy. I'm being told. I think there's much more worries on our side at the moment than worrying about it. Maybe a a dodgy penalty decision or something. You know, for me, it wasn't a penalty. That's just what I seen.
Yeah, no, I agree. So what I'll do is I'll go around the room and I'll kind of get comments on the Russell Martin interview, because that's probably the thing that stoked the fire more than anything else over the last couple of days. You can have a bad result, but it probably would have died down a little bit if he hadn't come out and slated all the previous players, and then obviously stuff around not doing their jobs, lack of was it self receding out of their shell, ego, all these other words that he used that were quite emotive. And probably is what got the journalists really excited, and probably the fans as well. So try to identify who these players were. So I'm just going to go around, Baz, get your thoughts really on the rights and the wrongs of the Russell Martin press conference and how beneficial do you think it would have been?
Well, it's like everything. It's like everything in life. It's only beneficial if his words actually come to fruition. You know, I'd see these press conferences. I don't really read too much into them because, you know, what you see on a Saturday and what you can see in a press conference are two very different things. Whatever Russell's trying to implement across to me, I don't see the players responding to him just at this moment in time. There's maybe one or two are, but I wouldn't say them all. To me, I felt like in his press conference, it feels like he's. I don't know about you, but I feel like he's going to stick to more what we had on Saturday for tomorrow night. I don't know if you read into that. It looked like he wasn't really going to make major changes, considering after the match he implicitly berated most of the team. I don't know. It's a difficult one, Gary. Press conferences for me, I don't really take much interest in them because talk's cheap for me. You know, I like to see what to do in match day. And it's the same. He has his conference today. We'll not know till tomorrow night and an hour before kickoff when the team selection's put out. If it's the same sort of team as it was on Saturday, we'll know what sort of a night we're in for.
Yeah. So, Ricky, in terms of his interview after the match, there's been lots of talk about it, how beneficial it was, but the fact he's not named players as such, so then he's the scatterguns out on everybody that's not played there. And some of the language is a little bit. I was backtracked a fair bit today on some of the language, but some of the language at the time, when you read it and say it at the time, was quite critical.
Yeah, he said it came from a place of love, and it's all love and all this. And but listen, I mean, we've heard this from the other managers before. So if he drops 4 or 5 players tomorrow, and we see a freshness in the team, then I don't have a problem with it. And he's been true to his word. But if he picks the same players, if Dowell starts on the right and he keeps that defence as lopsided as it is and the team's wide open and we don't get a result, then he's just setting himself up for a massive, massive, massive fall already. The fans were raging. I mean, I heard the players went to go up to the stand after the match and the fans were having none of it. Like, the fans let the players know. And the reason that the fans let the players know is because we've heard this all before. And we've seen this movie before, and we warned him when he came in, the things that had to be done and the things that had to be changed. But for some reason, these managers come in and they think they can get a tune out of these players and everything's going to be different, and it never ever is. So tomorrow, 6:45, when that team sheet comes out, will tell you everything, whether he's true to his word or whether it was just all emotion, like playing up to the gallery at the end, doing it to the fans. Me personally, I understand it's a difficult one, and I know fans loved it with everything he said. I probably personally, I thought he could have spoke and been as hard as he was, but not used the terminology. And then he could have. What he should have done is he should have did what he did yesterday: show the players the video, show the players that were jogging, and drop 2 players out of the team and make an example of them. So show the whole team. Say, look, this boy's jogging. He's not playing tomorrow. This guy's jogging. He's not playing tomorrow. And then that way you show that you're serious. See, in front of the whole team. And then that way there's no black and white, and drop a big hitter as well. Make sure one of their players is a massive hitter as well. And like you said today, it's not going to be the end of the Rangers' career, but what it is, it shows that he's a serious manager, because if he picks the same team again, like Baz says, and it goes tits up tomorrow night, then this is going to turn ugly very, very fast.
So there's a lot of talk, Scott, about drop these players, right? So I've heard this a few times over the last couple of days, drop these players, and it seems to be singled at Tav probably more than anything else, whereas the ones that probably get the most criticism or seem to get the criticism of the managers, Diamande and Danilo, are arguably asking as well. So if he drops those players, does that appease the fans and that gets them thinking they've done the right thing? Because I'm not sure it does. I think the ones that are getting the criticism are probably not the ones that he was talking about.
I think Gary's got to be careful what he does, but to be honest with you, I think it was ill advised. The things he says, everybody's going to agree with. We all know he was going. We all know that because we've all said it ourselves. But I think this is the second time he basically done it against Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Didn't he? And then he done it against. That's very early in your reign and as a manager to call your team out twice this soon. So either the players didn't listen to him, they don't want to listen to him. But if he keeps calling them out, they're going to listen to him even less. Because football players aren't daft. They know they've got a contract. They know a manager. They can get a manager sacked very, very easily. So you have to be very careful with the line he steps on. I think you should have said it behind closed doors. And Ricky said, show players no running and stuff. You can't do that either. You couldn't do that, man. Just think of the trouble with that, because the players would and their agents would be taking you everywhere, because the way football is nowadays, you can't call something like that. Maybe 20 years ago, Ricky, you could do that, but you couldn't nowadays. Football players are too powerful. But I think he's got to be sensible in what he does now. But I think some of it's covering his own back, to be fair. Because I think he knows he's screwed up with some of his substitutions. And I think sometimes his tactics, he might think he might have to change it, doesn't want to. Listen, Gary, done exactly the same, or very, very similar at Southampton. As a press conference, it's in Sky. It's on YouTube somewhere. I was watching a wee bit. I think I posted a wee bit in the chat. And if you listen, they said roughly the same. Players are self-preservation. Players aren't running. Players aren't fighting. And that's Southampton players in the English Premiership.
Right.
So he's got previous. Do you know that way? So I think he comes for a good coaching background. I think he wants to play really good football. But he's got to be careful what he does with Rangers, because our fans are the most patient, weren't they? And if you get to a stage where the fans, any football fan, but if the fans start to turn against you, there's only really one way it's going to end. So I would start to keep things in house more, unless he wants to come out. But I wouldn't be calling my players out every time. I think that's a bad move.
Do you know, I'm going to stick with you, Scott, because it just made me think of that. So, as you say, he done it for Southampton, and they did go on a 80 or 25 game winning or undefeated run after it. But I suppose the Scottish media and the Scottish goldfish bowl, or whatever you want to call it, is much different than being Southampton in the Premiership, and every word that he says is dissected and regurgitated and asked 15 questions about.
In the day, Gary, Southampton, I know they're playing a rich league and stuff, but are not in the same microscope as Rangers, because finishing second's failure up here. And we all know that. Clement suffered it, Barry Ferguson suffered it, Gio, Beale, they've all suffered the same way. And they've all said roughly the same stuff. And I think maybe calling out players, somebody said he does want an action for the guys. Maybe he thinks he can do that. And maybe that's another way he's done it this weekend. He's thinking, like, I'll call him out in the media. I'll say stuff. Then I'll go back into the dressing room or back into training and say, this is what I've said. Or they probably know anyway. But he's probably said, I'm doing it in a way because I want a reaction for you. And they might play roughly the same team on Wednesday. I don't think he's got a lot of options at this moment in time, to be honest with you. I don't think he could take out the team midfielders and replace them. I don't think I see good enough midfielders to replace.
No.
Deal's only playing well, Raskin's only playing well, and Northwell's still fitting in. But I don't think there's another three that could come in there and do better than they three. Lyle Cameron, you can say, but Barami's not produced anything. And Connor Barron can run and run and run all day, but I don't know if he can make a big difference. I don't know. It's up to him. He's a manager at the end of the day, but I feel he's looking for more of a reaction, and he is going to make a big, massive change in the team.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I suppose it just made me think that maybe he's got to learn how to play the game here as well. Glasgow is vastly different than being in Southampton, and he knows that he needs to realise that things he says will be used every single day of the week until something's done. So I think it's probably a challenge. He needs to adapt, and as you say, I don't think he was trying to. His own failings, he made a good point umpteen times, or made a point umpteen times. It wasn't his tactics, it wasn't his style, it wasn't his shape. It was players not doing it, and that's probably not a way to go either. Some ways, because you're then just alienate the people that you're wanting to play for you. I think arguably there might be stuff around about. So, Baz, I suppose today's press conference was a little bit of backtracking. 15 questions all about the same thing before he actually asked anything about the game, really, or asked anything about tomorrow's game. So I don't want to talk too much more about that, because we've got a bigger game coming up tomorrow. We've signed a new player. There's lots of other things that are happening. But before I finish and kind of look back the way, is there anything else that jumped out to you that we didn't cover?
I think we've covered it all. I mean, we could talk about this here for the next 10 years and still come out with exact same outcomes. We could talk about the same players. We could talk about it's the same old nonsense, just really, isn't it? You know, what I would say is, before we move on, one of my biggest problems is, well, the biggest one's Doyle, right? But we'll put him to the side. My next biggest problem is Arns at left back. It's a horrendous decision to put Arns at left back. When we watched the game against Motherwell, Gassama had no support from a running fullback. Roskin was trying now and again to try and interlink with him, but he's not that type of player. But for Gassama to be successful at Rangers, we need an attacking left-footed fullback that can overlap him and interchange with each other. I thought Gassama was hung out to dry there on Saturday because he got zero support. Even when he did get the ball, there was 2 or 3 around him every time. There was nobody there to make that run forward to the byline so he could change things a wee bit. So I think the time is now that Arns is taken off left back and moved to right back. Yefty's not everybody's cup of tea, but he makes good runs up the wing. He could form a partnership temporarily with Gassama, because Arns isn't going to do it. He keeps wanting to go on the right foot, Gary, constantly. He wants to come inside. He doesn't want to go in the overlap.
I think, I wouldn't disagree. I think the other option was he put Diamande, switch Diamande and Raskin. You've got Diamande who's left-footed, actually maybe allows for that kind of movement as well. And there is, I think it's clear he doesn't rate Jefty particularly highly at the moment. So having no left foot balance over there, you can see the logic in moving Diamande, but for some reason he doesn't see that. But we think that potential. So there's a different argument there. So before we move on to tomorrow's game, Ricky, we signed a new player today. We signed what appears to potentially be a really, really good player who's in the Eredivisie team of the year. I don't know if you're frozen, Ricky, or you're looking very grumpy. I'm not sure.
No, good, mate. Good.
You've got a frozen face there, scowling at me. So I signed Antman. Was it 16 assists and 6 goals? Really good record for Finland as well. In the Eredivisie team of the year. £3 million signing, proper right winger that runs down the right for the first time since Candace, probably. Are you excited by him?
Yeah, he looks. Someone said he looks like he's got a bit of the Kanchelskis about him, and I thought that was a no bad comparison. So if he's half the player Kanchelskis was, then we've signed a good one, mate. And he's young. I mean, he's got the numbers. He's a great age. He played with Diamande in Denmark, and that team in Denmark with that academy for 6 years. He was over there, so he's coming from a good pedigree. Great age to get, and if we can get him in, I mean, he's one that you think that if you could keep for 2-3 seasons, and he could hit the numbers at Rangers, and really, because we need numbers, Gary. I mean, we're speaking about move this player here, move that player there, move this player there. We need wingers that are going to score goals. Gassam has started well. He's got a couple of goals. Curtis has started well. But we need this guy to come in and hit the ground running. We need assists. We need goals. For all the stuff that we're speaking about the players not putting in effort and everything, the most disappointing thing about me, about the 3 games so far, one, we've been wide open, but also we've not been creating any chances. The goals that we've scored have been crackers, absolute moment goals from Gassama and moment goals from Curtis, but we've not actually created anything. Comes into the right side, he gives that right side, like Baz says, move Aarons to right. You've got a Premiership young, hungry right back. You've got a proper winger in front of him. Let them start building that partnership on the right. Even if the left is not perfect with Yefte and Gassama, it's going to be a lot more balanced on the left with A2 and what you've got on the right as well. So for me, that's a really good option. I don't know if he's going to be registered for tomorrow, but if he is, get him straight in the team. Come on, we've got to see him. He's fit. He's had a good pre-season. Get him straight in the team, and then let's see, get him in front of that massive crowd. I know it's a baptism of fire, but he says he's ready for it. He's excited to play, and we need a lift. The fans need a lift after what we saw at the weekend. So Martin could do himself a massive favour by making these tweaks to the team. And what Kerr was going on about earlier about the midfield, there's no way you're going to drop all 3 of their players, but they're good. They're dynamic midfielders. You can change them around. Even if you don't want to drop Diamande, move him to the left, move Raskin to the 6 and move Rothwell to the right, and at least try something different to see if it's going to work better than what we saw for the last 3 matches, because the midfield is a massive problem, and they 3 together is just not working. None of them look comfortable, so they've got the skill set to change them, so change them and then see if the team looks better.
Yeah, I suppose that's part of the thing. In squad building, we've still got 3 weeks left of the transfer window, Scott. So we still short of a left back, a left centre back, and arguably a striker once one of the players go. But I suppose putting the pieces together, Antman seems to be the right sided midfielder. Mikey Moore will probably cover all of those kind of positions up front, and Gassam on the left. We have struggled to score goals. Antman's probably going to be the first choice. You're understanding of him? Quite happy with him?
I'm happy with signing Gary. I've not seen a lot of him. I've seen him a few times, but over the piece, not a lot. I've read more than. But anybody can look good on YouTube. Even I will look good on YouTube, and I'm shite, to be honest with you. But I think he's a signing we need. I can agree with him. That's right, a really good right winger for years, and I think if he's fit, which he's going to be, because in the Goliath Eagles team, he was ready to play that night and then get pulled out. So surely he's fit enough just to get straight to the other side. He's a good player. He knows how to play the game. He likes to attack. He likes to create. He likes to score. Just think I'm on. Can it be any worse? But if you sign him, play him. No flat pack furniture building, nothing like that nonsense. Just get him straight in there and if he's registered in time for tomorrow night, which I think he should be, because obviously you will be signing. So get him on the part. That's what I would do, Gary. But just going to say, it's going to show that. Obviously, there's a super chat there. Jazz, and he says no leaders on the park too long and stuff like that, and not get a right mentality. I think that's been evident at our club for so many years. I think you can. When's the last time you would say was leaders at the park when Walter Smith was the manager? It's been that long. Maybe when Stevie G was here to appoint me, had Davis and maybe McGregor, Arfield. But I just think with Rangers at that moment, we do struggle with that. Just mentality is, and I think it shows you in the 4 players as in the leadership group are Double, Tav, Butland, and Suter. Butland, who we try, everybody wants to sell in the summer. Suter's got a year left. Tav, everybody wants to leave, and Dill, everybody thinks he's shite, and they're the 4 leaders. So I think that tells you everything about the club.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying that Mikey Moore, somebody's asked a question in the chat about Mikey Moore. He's not registered yet because he's under 18. It's taking longer, so he won't be in the squad tomorrow. I think I did say, just so in case anybody's wondering. But Antman, hopefully, will be registered by 12 o'clock tonight and can be in the squad. I suppose, but I was just thinking when he was saying that, one of the things, I suppose, if Antman is going to play tomorrow, and I do remember, we are of an age when you do remember players would sign one day and play the next. That seems to have stopped over the last decade or so. But what was interesting is he's played for 3 or 4 years with Diamande. So that, you wonder if that might actually be a reason why Diamande would still play tomorrow if they were going to play the two of them together.
Well, there's if they've already played together, then there's an instant connection. And if Diamande's slightly playing on the right, then I can see where maybe he's going with that. What impresses me is that he's a direct right winger. We haven't had you mentioned there. We haven't had a proper right winger in years. We've had Cherney, Ross McCausland's tried to come in last season, but an actual player that gets the ball and takes the defender on and puts good crosses in and delivers. I've seen some of his stuff. He looks very, very good. I said this on the podcast, on our own podcast earlier. Rangers is a different type of pressure cooker, and it's whether the player can respond to that environment at Rangers. It's a hell of a different situation being at Rangers than where he's been. But the stats look good. I'm excited because if he's going to replace Dahl, I think that's a major positive. And not just the fact that I don't really want Dahl there, but it's the fact of we're trying to create too much on the left-hand side. We're trying to use left wingers, and there's no opposite effect, so we're not able to shift things about a wee bit. But yes, I'm looking forward to him. And if Diamande does know him, there's an instant bond there. As short as it is, he's a player that he can put his hand on his shoulder and guide him. Even if he does play tomorrow night, there's a familiar face for him. I think that's always a positive, because when you join a new club, new surroundings, new people you haven't met before, Diamande might just be that wee link for him. But yeah, really excited, Gary, and I really do hope they just put him on tomorrow night. I really do.
It was interesting. I watched his interview earlier on, and he talked about one of the things he hopes to develop in Scotland is physicality. He is 6'1", and he's obviously he's a proper right winger, as you say, that runs down the byline. But he's probably been more technical than physical over the last couple of years. So I think he talked a little bit about that. Somebody's asked a question in here about, was it Antman comes in, who drops Paul McCorkle, who drops out the squad now? Ricky, we had a discussion with this earlier on. I read a thing on Rangers Review that said that the two youngsters and Josh Gentles and somebody else can drop out because they can move to the B list, and it left 2 spaces for new players that come in. I don't know if you researched that afterwards to check whether it was right.
No, I went to sleep, mate, because there's no way I'm reading one of Doug's articles. No, it'll be Egerman or Asgard will drop out, surely. If they're well, it's only one player that needs to drop out. It's only one player that needs to drop out, so I reckon it'll be Asgard. Whoever's injured the most, maybe Egerman's not going to. Maybe there is a move set up for Egerman, so it looks like that'll be probably who's going to drop out, mate. But I would get him straight in the team. We need the fans. The fans can't handle Dowell tomorrow. It'll just get the crowd. The crowd has got that. The crowd. There's a lot of baggage from last season with the crowd in the last few seasons. So we want the crowd to be good at Ibrox, but the team are going to have a good start. I don't think Ibrox is going to be rocking tomorrow to start with. The team have to have a good start, and then the fans will go with the team and they'll get behind them. But if he starts Dowell on the right, even Curtis, if he doesn't start Antman, then go for Curtis for sure, because Curtis is. I thought we missed his directness at the weekend, mate. So I'd like to see that.
Yeah. So Baz, I'll come back to you just on other rumours. All the other rumours are Ridvan allegedly going to Besiktas for 4 million was one that we read today. Davies to Birmingham for 750k, and obviously Ross McCausland, your compatriot, left and moved to Limassol last week.
It was the best thing all around for Ross McCausland. At the end of the day, he was never going to make the level at Rangers. He's had enough chances. He's at an age where he should be more advanced than what he was. From a Northern Ireland point of view, I'm glad to see him on loan. He'll get game time, and it'll benefit our national team. In terms of the Ben Davies, well, I don't think we'll really need to say too much about Ben Davies. We all know he was never going to be in this squad, and the best of luck to the guy. In terms of Rivdan, do you know something? It actually disappoints me with Rivdan because there's a cracking player in there. There is a really good player there with Rivdan, but injuries have hampered him. He's never had a run in the team. If you're looking at the left back situation we have at the minute, Rivdan is the best left back at that club. He still is the best player there at left back, but he's going back to Turkey by all accounts. And in terms of his availability, he was never always there. But for me, it's a big shame because I actually genuinely thought Rivdan would have proved a very, very good player for us.
Yeah. He was obviously in the Turkish team, I think, when he joined us before. Actually, so he was 21-year-old, a lot of potential, but it's never worked out. And for 3 years, we've been saying if only he could stay fit. So it's time for him to eventually make his way back to Turkey. In terms of, so we are slowly starting to get the players out, Ricky, that we don't want in terms of the ostracised ones. We brought in 9 players now, spent 20 million, as you've said. We've only brought in 1.5. We do need to start to generate some income again. We've run out of that £20 million investment pretty much now.
Yeah, I would sell anyone, mate. Just come on, who get loads of money. Someone offer us something for one of our players. No, I still think Raskin's got a massive part to play, so I'd still like to see him sign a new contract. But I would be honest with you, I've been disappointed with Diamande's start to the season. So if we get a big bid in for Diamande or Egerman, then they would be probably the two that you can see are the sellable assets. And if that's going to be reinvested straight into the team, then I'm all for it, Gary, because Egerman probably would be our best striker. But the Dessers, I see Eki Athens signed a striker today that was linked with them, actually, Jovic or something. So that looks like Dessers is probably not going to Eki Athens anymore. So I still think, you've still got 3 weeks. It feels like the window's been open forever, mate. And you've still got 3 weeks to go. So I think it's going to be interesting. And we'll be still doing a lot of business towards the end. But I think probably that 20 million was just a number. I think you'll still see us sign a left back soon, and then the striker will be depending on who we get out. But if there was rumours 4 million, just under 4 million for Yilmaz, that's decent. That's a decent fee considering he's been injured for the last 3 seasons. So if we can get that for Yilmaz, I was surprised when I saw that number today. But it is coming from Turkey, so you can take it with a pinch of salt.
That's what I was going to say. Can we rely on the Turkish people to pay the £4 million? No offence to them. But they're not around for the payments of things, I think, in terms of football players. So, Scott, game against tomorrow night, we'll be at Ibrox to watch the game against Viktoria Plzen, who have lost their main midfielder through injury. They've lost their main striker, who's going to Lyon for £7.5 million. I think I had a look at the bookies odds earlier on, and we're slight favourites for tomorrow. I think the game overall is 50-50. Good draw for us, but what are we expecting for tomorrow?
Hopefully we turn up, Gary. Listen, it's going to be difficult. Pausing on these, I think people think because we put Panathinaikos away, well, we went through, we didn't put them away, we went through, and this is going to be an easier draw, but they're a decent side. All teams in Europe now are decent, and you have to be on your game are lucky at times to get through, but if we can get a couple of goals like we did the other week and don't concede any, and I'd be happy with that, but we're going to have to play a lot better, Gary, because I've seen a stat, I think the last 3 games we've conceded over 50 shots or something, which I know they're not all on target and stuff like that, but you're going to hit a side who are decent. You're not going to get a lot these balls fly over or Butland saves it or whatever, you're going to end up getting a doing, so we have to be more careful on the ball and protective on the ball, and defensively we've got to be more sound. We leave far too many gaps. We're open the bar show apart sometimes when we defend, but we're everywhere, and it's not great to see. But I know Martin wants to play that kind of way, but we have to be more defensive minded, I think, especially at home, because I think away from home you can get away with a bit more because teams are going to come out, aren't they? More to you, and you can hit them in the break, but we should be able to hit in the break because we've got Yasama, but we've always done well on the break. And I think over the years, with Walter especially, but even with Gerrard, and then come on, we've done well in Europe. Gio done well away from Europe because we soaked teams in and we hit them. But obviously, Martin's not going to want to do that. He's going to be trying to play a passing football and get up against them. So we're going to have to be just more patient, I think, tomorrow night. But it will be difficult because you know yourself, Gary, a couple of bad passes or a goal we concede, the crowd get nervous, and I can't really blame them. But I'm excited to see the team he picks, and also excited to see the game. But as you know, I think before you go to a game, you're always looking forward to things. After the game can be a totally different story. But I'm quietly confident, and I don't know why.
Yeah. I've seen this comment from Nicholas. Standard Rangers dropped big time. Never mind Europe. To be fair, our European record over the last so many years, and we went through the first round in the Champions League there. So it's hard to criticise a European record at any point over the last 5 to 6 years or so. So, and at Ibrox, we have always performed reasonably well on most occasions. Baz, what do you expect from tomorrow night?
Again, it really does depend on the team sheet, the hour before it. If who's in my head that I would love to start tomorrow night actually came to fruition, I think would have a good night. If the team starts that I think Russell might actually do, then I'm going to be slightly nervous. We do well in Europe. We have done that, Gary, for years. Even with Clermont and all, how bad we were. You know, we always seem to get a result in Europe. We've always done it over the last 6 years. If I see the team sheet tomorrow night and I see Kieran Dowell and I see Tavernier on the right, I'm going to be really disappointed. If I see Orange at left back, I'm going to be really disappointed. If I see Raskin playing out the left, I'm going to be disappointed. So I'm hoping that he makes subtle changes. You don't always have to change the personnel, but you can change slightly the shape of where the players are playing. And I think if he pulled Raskin slightly back a wee bit, even with beside Rothwell, and let Raskin have more of the ball and dictate the play going forward rather than having to chase it all the time, I think we'll have a good night. But it's like everything, Gary, Ibrox is special. In Europe, it doesn't matter who we're playing in Europe, we've always a chance. It makes no difference, you know, who the team we're playing. We've always got a chance. But I think at this moment in time, especially after Saturday, a lot of fans they're not as up for Tuesday night as what they should be. You know, they're just feeling a wee bit despondent. They're feeling a wee bit down. They can see the problems on the pitch and they're not being changed. I'm just hoping Russell takes that into consideration tomorrow night when he names the team. If he does make a couple of tweaks and we can see what Russell's saying about certain players and he maybe pulls a couple of them out, then I think it'll be a positive thing. If not, I think it could be a long night.
Yeah. So just before we move on then, so the team that you would pick then, right, just let's hear this before we actually get to the real team that you think it'll be. And it'll be well. What was the team you would pick if you had the choice?
Well, you're Butland and Nats. Are you talking to me or Ricky?
Yeah, Baz, sorry.
You're talking to me, yeah? Me, yeah?
Yeah.
Butland and Nats. I would actually play Yefty at left back. I know a lot of people don't want him there, but I just think at this moment in time we need a proper left back. I would have Nija. I would play Suter on the right centre. Yeah, I would play Suter in the right centre half, not in the left. Play him in his natural position, which is his right foot. I would play Max Orange at right back. I would have Rothwell and I would have Raskins as a sitting two, which one's allowed to express. I would have Cameron just in front of them. I would have Gossamer on the left. I would actually play Curtis on the right, and I would play Dessers up top.
Right, so we'll come back to you later on what team you actually think it'll be. That was only a totally different one, probably. Ricky, so in terms of team, so you're always been a huge fan of Dessers, and I think how crucial is it he starts tomorrow?
Well, considering Danillo's the option, then it's as I said, man, it's like choosing someone sleeping with your wife or someone. I don't know, mate. It's the worst choice ever in the history of choices. No, but Baz's team's superb. I love that team. I was watching his podcast earlier, and I was going to steal his team, but you asked him first. But his team's brilliant, mate. That's
Is that my try again?
that's bang on. No, that I absolutely love. I love everything he said there, especially about the two players just keeping it a bit tight because we're being wide open. And Raskin can be box to box, you know, with Rothwell, they can take turns and get a bit of communication going. I think that's a great idea. There's no need to have a single pivot when our defence is there's players playing out of position and you're just leaving your team wide open. It's absolute madness, especially in Europe. That like Kerr said, I think this team will just be a little bit sharper than Panathinaikos. They've played a lot more games and they had a great result. I mean, to win 3-1 away against Servette when they were losing 1-0, and they were down to 10 men as well, was an excellent result from them. So all these you're into the third qualifying round of the Champions League, so they're going to be decent. And if we give up the same chances as we did against Panathinaikos, it could be a really nasty night. And if he picks the team that Baz is going to tell you in 2 minutes that he's going to pick, then it could be an absolute disaster of a night. And we don't want that. We don't want this negativity earlier on, because I do think Martin has got a chance, and I do love some of the stuff that he is trying to implement. But I just think he needs to just take his stubborn hat off just a little bit, just make tweaks. We're still going to play the same way, expansive football. Everything is going to be good the way that he wants to do it, but the team is struggling with the players that he's got just now. So he needs to wait until the squad is completely his before he goes for this mad one pivot, like just attack football. So just rein it in a little bit, put the players in the positions they feel a bit more comfortable until you get your players that you want to change things again. And then for me, if we do that, we'll have a very good night.
And Scott, coming to you then. So I've seen a few comments as I'm looking at some of the comments. We've talked a lot about changing players, but people like Diamande, for example, has probably been he's been excellent in Europe. That's where he's excelled over the last couple of years. He's been here. You've got obviously guys like Dessers is probably going to come in. You imagine he's a guaranteed starter after the weekend. You've got Cortez, got Curtis, Antman, whoever it may be on the right hand side, and defence there's not a lot of options. I mean, you've got Pick and Jeff doing nobody rates. So he could play Arons, who's not been playing well over the right backs, or do you stick with the same back five?
To be honest with you, I quite like Baz's team as well, but obviously we know that's not going to be the team. I think there will be changes, but I think there will only be 2 changes. I think we'll maybe leave it one of midfielders and Dessers will be up front. I think the rest will be kind of similar to what he's been going with, just because I think it might be a different story if Asgard was fit, but like we say, we don't know how long he's out for. We could see him come the new year. We don't know how long he's out for. He's been out for a couple of days. His couple of days is right into 4 weeks nearly. So I think maybe if Higginman was fit, it'd be different. But he's going to have to start with Dessers, isn't he? Just for the fact, he gave him a mention. Cameron has to start as well. Does that mean Raskin will be left out or Diamande? It'll be one of the 2. I don't think it'll be Rothwell. And I think the back 4 will be the same, to be honest with you. And I don't think unless that man plays, but I see him on the bench, I think he'll probably go with Dibble. But I hope I'm wrong. I'm just going with what he said about being familiar with the guys who know the system, the guys that's been there training and stuff. And he has bummed up Dill a few times. So, like I said earlier, he's his Hamid Amici at McLeish used to like. So I think he's Martin's. So I hopefully it's Baz's team, but I think there will be maybe a couple of changes.
So, Baz, you had the chance to tell your dream team earlier on. So if you think that your real team, the one you think he is going to pick, is it going to differ much from what Scott was saying there?
I think Scott's pretty much nailed it in the head. I think Dessers I think we can all agree that Dessers probably will lead the line tomorrow night. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sort of glad on that. I think he's the sort of player we need at the minute up there. I have this awful feeling that he's going to, like Scott, I think he's going to play a very similar team. Maybe 1 or 2 changes. Possibly Cameron may come in. He might come in, I don't know. But my worry is that he is going to keep the same back line. He's going to try the same thing, and it could be a long night. Like Gary, the way you get fans on board is by being brave, making those changes that are necessary at the right time, no matter how early in the season it is. I mean, he's up against it already. The Motherwell result has been very disappointing. It's set us back quite a lot. We've had a great summer with the rebuild, the takeover. Everybody's been buzzing. You said the last podcast, Gary, I was on, I was pumping the bit tonight and fucking depressed. So that's that's where we're at the minute. But I think Scotty's got it bang on. I think you'd be very lucky to see any more than 2 changes. I really do.
Yeah, I'd probably say there'd be 2. I think the back 5 will stay the same. I'd be amazed if he changes the back 5. I think you might see Cortez come in for Dow. I think Cortez is a possible option. Not people have really talked about him, and Dessers will certainly start up front. Whether Diamande or Raskin drop out for Cameron, I think Cameron's maybe the physicality yet. You're a big European game. I'm not sure they will go with that. I think Diamande offers a bit more physicality. I know he is and Raskin, so I'd be surprised if he makes Cameron's a change. But I think it will be 2 or 3 changes maximum, whether that results in satisfaction for the fans before the game. As long as it ends up with satisfaction after the game, that's the bit that matters, I suppose, for us all, come 90 minutes from there. So just going around looking at the score line, Baz, what do you think the score will be in goal scorers in? You're on mute.
I'm on mute, Gary. I'm tired. I'm tired of that.
Good boys.
Oh, I know. I was at work at 7 o'clock this morning, so it's been a long day. Ibrox is still special. I think we do rise to the occasion. Russell actually alluded to that about players rising to certain games. I think we will probably do that again tomorrow night. So I'll go Rangers 2-0. I think we'll get the same result as we did against Panathinaikos. I think Dessers will score if he starts, and Gassama.
Scott, you're always good with a score line recently.
But I'm not really, Gary. Well, no, on a coupon since about 18. I think 2-1. I think they'll score. I think we're conceding far too many chances. And I think they will score, but I think we'll win 2-1. I think Dessers will score. And I also think Tav will score, even though I hope he doesn't play.
I was going to say Tav will score, so I didn't even need to say that now. Ricky?
2-1 as well. I think it'll be 2-1. I'll say 3-1 because Kerr said 2-1, but I do think it'll be 2-1, and I'll go for Antman. Antman with a debut goal. We'll go with Dessers with a goal, and we will go with a header from a corner from John Suter.
It's a big John Suter. And Giga, for the size of him, we expect him to get a header soon enough, but it doesn't.
It doesn't jump in the box. I've not seen him jump yet. Has he jumped once for the box in the corner?
Gary, I will say Big Giga is kind of went unnoticed because I think he's actually been playing okay. I think he's been setting the team really well, but I think because of what's been happening, he's not getting any praise because everybody's been getting criticised. But I think he's come in from Wolves and done really, really well for us.
He's the only player that's playing in his right position.
Him and Butland, they've been 2 main players so far.
That's why.
So if we do perform well tomorrow and get a good result, and hopefully it takes into a strong second leg, for those that know, we'll then potentially get Club Brugge or who's the other one?
Salzburg,
I always forget them. Club Brugge or Salzburg. So what did you think of that tie, Baz? Do you think it's been a satisfactory, as good a draw as you could get if you could potentially get through?
Well, of the 2 different options, that was probably the draw we were all hoping for, wasn't it? I think Benfica's in the other one, and I don't think we're ready for a Benfica right now, the way we're playing. So, Bruges, which is an old Clermont team as well, which would be interesting, and Salzburg, yeah, I think it's a good draw. The main thing is we get through this tie, and that's the biggest hurdle. It's always the game in front of you. But in terms of if we get through, yeah, I think it's a good tie. I think at Ibrox we can match anybody, regardless. It seems to be what team we play. We always seem to rise at Ibrox. So yeah, I think it's a great tie.
No, definitely. And in terms of the extra five, if we do get through, we get an extra £5 million from UEFA, which is always good as well, even if we don't. So the extra money helps us buy that left back or left centre back that we're crying out for. So we're coming to the end of the pod. I suppose the one last thing, Scott, should probably highlight with the Rangers women announced a new manager today, Leanne Crichton, who, like Glasgow City, was it? She played for years.
Yeah, she played. I think she played down in England as well, but she's got a lot of cards for Scotland. Listen, it's her first job as a manager because she's been assistant and stuff. But I think it's a good appointment. I think they had to appoint somebody, and she knows the Scottish game, and she's been given a 3-year contract, but she knows some of the players, and I think it's a really good appointment with the club, to be honest with you. I think Joe Potter done relatively well. Just the league escaped her a couple of times, but she won the cups. But I think that's a good appointment. I think because, like I say, she knows the game really well up here. She's very experienced, and it's her first manager job, but I think she'll be making sure she proves her point that she deserves it. So good luck to her.
Yeah, definitely. They've won a few trophies more than the men's team over the last couple of years. The league titles eluded them, so hopefully they can go one better as the season goes on. So thank you, Baz, for joining us tonight. It's been a long day for you, as you said, since 7 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I'm a manager of an oil company as well, and I think I have a couple of dials that work for me. So it's a long, it's a long old day. Just chasing after these boys. So yeah, but it was absolutely brilliant. And Scotty wearing the Linfield shirt just topped it off, and I'd be able to slag William off the rest of the night.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it, and hopefully we will continue that going to each other's shows. It's been thoroughly enjoyable having you on this evening. Ricky, you've been frozen on most of our screen for most of the night. Ricky, we've just seen your face. It's frozen up, but we have heard your voice, fortunately enough, and lots of good points.
God knows what's going on there, right? But, strange, man.
That's a crime watch 40, Ricky. That's a crime watch 40 there. Look.
Have you seen this, man? So
not good.
And Scott, I will see you tomorrow night at the game. So, and
I'll see you at half time, Gary.
Thank you everybody for watching, for your comments. Hopefully, it's another good result tomorrow, and we can maybe get onto a positive pod come Friday night, and hopefully we're heading towards the next stage of the Champions League. Good night, everybody. See you later.